So everything about the thumbnail, like, is just fantastic that I made.
Pretty much, yeah. And we're live.
Oh crap!
Again, no intro.
Woo!
Hello, everyone. Welcome to SmackDown, the first one from this bullshit new life I have. And this is about Tim Burton, and I'm actually not gonna show up because I don't really know much about Tim Burton's movies. I actually haven't seen many of them. The only one I've kind of seen, if it counts, is James and the Giant Peach. So,
Yeah,
this is an Eli one and a GH one. I'm not
yeah.
gonna be
Yeah,
here. I'm gonna
well,
mute. Tell me when you.
yeah.
Tell me when to end it, and tell me if you need a screen share. I'll say that.
Yep. Yep.
Right.
And this is just like what we did
Well,
with PBS Kids. It
yeah.
was me and Michael doing it, and now we're doing it again. This time this time on Tim Burton.
Alright, so I think you know what
Right,
to
but
do,
mostly
and I'm gonna mute right about now.
All right.
yeah, to clarify, this one's probably mostly going to be Eli because I don't know much about this either, but I'm here to make sure things don't explode.
Yeah. So I guess okay. I might as well get started. Um, and especially because since a lot of us know Animat, Electric Dragon 505, and when he did an animation look back of stop motion, he did one, of course, about Tim Burton, and with the help thanks to Animat, because the history of Burton, because Burton, he grew up, not your average kid. Like, he would play in the cemetery, and he would watch monster movies, and he would draw, and at some point, he got to go to Cal Arts, founded by Walt Disney himself, and he would go on to, work at Disney as a full-time animator. And while there, he started, he did make a couple of short films. He made three. The first being, of course, Vincent, which is about a boy who, it's a stop motion. It's actually Vincent. Fun fact is Tim Burton's first ever stop motion feature, and it's, even though, because it is a short, and the story is, it's about a boy, a 7-year-old boy who wants to be just like Vincent Price. And fun fact, and literally, because the short is narrated by Vincent Price himself. And then he made, I don't think nobody really knows about this one that much. I don't know, but Burton, he made a short, which is Hansel and Gretel, Japanese, and at the time, like, Burton was interested, and he was into Asian culture stuff, and even Vincent Price
Especially
did.
the theater.
What's that now?
Like, he's into Asian stuff, but one thing you'll get a lot of in terms of Asian stuff from Hansel and Gretel is kabuki theater, in that all the characters, including females, are played by male actors.
Yeah, even the witch being played by a male actor. So anyway, and Vincent Price, he did the introduction for Hansel and Gretel, and then the third short film that Burton made, and this was another live action because Hansel and Gretel was live action. He did a live action version of Frankenweenie, and that basically got him. After he made it, Disney fired him because it was dark, and too scary, and yet says the company who, a year after Frankenweenie, would release The Black Cauldron. We all know how that turned out. And even, like, Burton was involved with The Black Cauldron at one point. Like, he did 100 sketches and designs for what would be in the film, but none of them, of course, were used, which is a bit of a shame. That film would have been a total perfect fit for Burton. And then they later on, with the help of Paul Rubens, aka Pee Wee Herman, Paul Rubens chose Burton to direct a feature of of Paul Rubens' character Pee Wee Herman in, of course, Pee Wee's Big Adventure. And in that film, that's also where Burton and Danny Elfman would first work. So, do you have anything to say, Michael, right now?
Here is an interesting fact about Tim Burton in regards to him, like, doing it with Paul Rubens. Like
Yeah.
like like we know that Pee Wee Herman is afraid of snakes, right? But what most people don't know is that the actor, Paul Rubens, actually is afraid of snakes. So, the initial intent of the scene where he had to rescue the snakes was that they would give him rubber snakes. But then one day, Tim Burton approached Paul and said, "We just can't make the scene work with rubber snakes. We gotta use real ones." And Paul Rubens, trusting Tim Burton's judgment, nodded solemnly and did the scene. So the scene where he so the scene where he rushes in, rescues the snakes, and passes out. It was beautiful on screen, but ultimately, no acting talent required.
Uh-huh. I did not know about that.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. And I think I could tell, like, because, with Pee Wee's Big Adventure, there is a bit of, I want to say, Burton style in there. I want to say, like, especially like that sequence with large Marge, and that scary face that she makes. But after Pee Wee's after
Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. So you can tell too, like, there's a bit of Burton style in the film.
Yeah, and you spoke of Danny Elfman earlier. You said this was the first time you worked with Danny Elfman. Before
Correct.
that, especially with the Hansel and Gretel production, he actually worked with the guy that composed the music for Mister Rogers' Neighborhood.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I
you
did
can
not
hear
know
that
that
same
either.
music style in the Hansel and Gretel one.
I'll
Hmm.
have to I'll have to go back and listen to the music of the Hansel and Gretel one.
Yeah.
Yeah. But also, okay, so after Pee Wee's Big Adventure, like, Burton's film career took off in the 80s, like, with what, in the 80s and early 90s. With In the late 80s, we would get Beetlejuice and Batman. So, do we have anything to say on Beetlejuice and Batman now?
Just don't say Beetlejuice one more time or we're all gonna regret it.
Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice. Take cover!
I hate you.
Oh, that's bull crap. So, that's bull crap. Okay, but okay. Do you want to go first on Beetlejuice and Batman?
Um, I Beetlejuice, I'm aware has was really controversial in the way that it was presented because this was at a time when PG-13 hadn't really been invented yet.
Yeah,
So, you could either have it be PG or R. It was rated PG. It ended up being rated PG, but only after they cut a little scene where Beetlejuice says, "Nice fucking model," and honks his crotch.
yeah. Well, I've seen. I was gonna mention that, but I remember like catching this on TV a couple times, and they did edit out that. Well, they kept in the part where he tips over the tree, but okay. Here's how it goes. Right after he knocks over the tree, that's where on TV they cut the part where he, nice effing model, honk honk. That's where they cut out that part. They don't cut the part out where he tips over the tree, because after he tips over the tree, then we immediately cut to where the rest of the movie continues. So that's the best I can put it.
Yeah, all these years later, though, it turns out that the creator of the movie had a really good sense of humor about the whole situation. So he put out on the internet the fucking short version, which is just the cutscene.
Okay.
So yeah, you look it up on YouTube, Beetlejuice the fucking short version, and there's the scene.
Uh huh. And the we'd also have that Beetlejuice animated cartoon series. We'd also
Yeah, Tim Burton was involved, but not to as great an extent as he was with the movie.
Yeah.
Uh,
So
let me see. Let me see what my Wikipedia says. If I go down to TV shows. Yes. He was the executive producer and was the developer of the story, but other than that, no other involvement.
right. Okay, but aside from Beetlejuice, now comes Batman, because this is where because here's the thing: a year before Batman, Michael Keaton was Beetlejuice, and then the next year he would take on the role of the Caped Crusader slash the Dark Knight. There was a time, and even my dad being there too, where everybody complained and they went nuts, like Michael Keaton is Batman, why him? But boy, did Tim Burton and Michael Keaton prove the people? Did they prove them wrong? Because Michael Keaton nailed it as Batman slash Bruce Wayne. From because at the time, like Michael Keaton was best known for being funny and comedic, but with Batman, he can play serious.
Uh, Like, imagine if he was comedic in that movie, though. Imagine him, like, dance around like a maniac. Nice fucking model! I'm the goddamn Batman! Here's my bad credit card!
Probably not, but even like say, but I think even well, like superhero movies, like they would have their funny moments, and they do, but they would also still be serious, just like because again, for example, the Marvel movies. So, anyways, but with Batman, because it had a great cast. Most notably, of course, Batman being played by Michael Keaton and Jack Nicholson, of course, as the Joker. Jack Nicholson playing Jack Nicholson, of course. But whether if he, to me, whether if he is, people say that Jack Nicholson is playing Jack Nicholson. Jack Nicholson is still playing a character. So Jack Nicholson. Um, yeah, and then when it came to like, do you have anything else to say on Batman, Michael, before we continue?
Not really. What's next?
Edward Scissorhands.
All I know is he's a joke. Like I know it's supposed to be a scary horror movie, but that character is a joke, and we all know it.
Okay. Well, Edward Scissorhands. Now,
Like,
I recently gave Edward Scissorhands a watch. I don't mean to interrupt, but if you were still talking, but I gave it a watch. I gave Edward Scissorhands. I recently watched it. I mean, it was sometime last month. I finally watched it for the first time, and it's been on Disney Plus, and I finally watched it on there, and it's a great movie, and it's emotional because Edward Scissorhands was soon to be finished, to be like a man or something, but unfortunately the inventor, played by Vincent Price, had died before he could finish his creation that he was making, of making a human, a man and such. And there's like say a Beauty and the Beast kind of thing going on, and Winona Ryder like plays the girl like who does fall for Edward, and Ellen Arkin who's in this too. I could yeah. So there you go.
actually does have some kind of resemblance now that I think about it to like another project that Vincent Price was involved in. Not a Tim Burton one specifically, but it also has Vincent Price in it, so I'll briefly touch on it. The Thief and the Cobbler.
Oh
Like
yes.
like it was being developed in the 60s. It was released in the 90s, being like a half-baked shell of its former self. And Vincent Price, one of the voice actors, actually died before the movie was finished.
And he recorded his dialogue 20 years before the film came out. Apparently, he recorded his dialogue. I think it was around the
Yeah,
70s.
yeah. It's an interesting parallel. Like Vincent Price having a creation that died before its creating, and Vincent Price having voice acted in a movie and then dying before the movie came out.
Yeah. But oh well, like movies that, there be actors who would pass away before a movie that they had just done, before they died, they would be released.
Yeah, unless it turns out that actor did some bad things, in which case, fuck him.
Case what?
Like, like one example is like not necessarily in the acting industry, but like the music industry. Michael Jackson, like when he died, they put the Captain EO tribute back in Disneyland. They had the radio stations playing the tributes to his legacy until 2019. Then Leaving Neverland came out, and everyone pulled everything ever related to him.
Okay. Okay.
Basically, basically honor the man's legacy unless they did bad things. Like that's a weird way of putting it, but whatever.
Yeah. But anyways, also continuing on with Tim Burton, then came then came Batman Returns, where I recall like Burton considered that not. He said that Batman Returns wasn't a sequel to Batman, but even though because Vicky Vale is mentioned and because of when it takes place, I don't know. I mean, maybe it technically isn't a sequel. Like it's not really a follow up. It isn't really a follow up to the events of of the first Batman film. So something like that. But you know what? I honestly think Batman Returns isn't that bad, and there are many people that do. I know that there are some people that like this, and I'm one of them. Like the casting was pretty good. Like once again, you had Michael Keaton as Batman slash Bruce Wayne. Then you had Michelle Pfeiffer as Catwoman. She was great. And I especially think Danny DeVito as the Penguin was a perfect choice. He had the perfect body for the Penguin, and just how he turned out with the makeup, it was amazing. Like, and do you have anything to say on Batman Returns, Michael?
I got nothing.
Okay. Well, I will say this. Like, okay, so I can continue. Danny DeVito as the Penguin, like the way the Penguin looks with his hands and with his nose, that's understandable because people can be born in a mutual way. Do you know what the word is I'm looking for?
Sorry, I wasn't paying attention.
Like the way people would be born, if they would have. There would be something wrong with their face, or like I don't know what the word is I'm looking for.
Either a deformity or a birth defect.
Deformity. What's that? Deformity. What?
It's like some people call it a deformity, while others call it a birth defect.
Yeah. So it's something like that, and that happens with the Penguin because with his nose and his hands, you name it. So that's understandable, and like he almost looks like a penguin. He almost looks like a penguin. And also some of the other cast of characters, like I do recall because Billy D. Williams, he was at one point going to reprised his role as Harvey Dent, and it might have not been in this movie, but we're getting very close to talking about what would happen after Batman Returns. But that didn't happen when Billy D. Williams didn't come back for Batman Returns, and instead a new character was created named Max, and he was played by Christopher Walken. This was the first Tim Burton film that Christopher Walken did. And later on, he would be in another Burton film, which we're going to get to in a couple minutes.
More cowbell.
What's that now?
I was doing a walking impression. More cowbell.
More cowbell. Like everybody
Something like
likes
that.
to. Everybody likes to do a Christopher Walken impression. Everybody likes to do.
Yeah.
Okay, but and here's another. Okay, so and one more thing on Batman Returns. I honestly think that Batman Returns, the ending to it, was pretty well done. Like, there's nothing really major going on, nothing action or something like that. It's just kind of sad and very quiet, and because after Penguin's death, and all we see left is Bruce Wayne and Alfred on their way back home, and at one point, Bruce Wayne sees the shadow of Catwoman, and Alfred, stop the car, and he walks out of the snow, and trying to look around, and all that he sees, and like that's up to his legs, is a black cat, and so you know thus he takes the cat home with him, and the last lines from Alfred and Bruce Wayne from Alfred, Merry Christmas, Mr. Wayne, and Bruce Wayne getting the last lines, Merry Christmas, Alfred, good world toward men and women, and that's it. They drive off, and we see the bat signal light up and Catwoman popping up. Yeah, just What a way to end that film. And because after Batman Returns, plans for another Batman film were in the works, and Warner Brothers dropped out Burton because after Batman Returns was too dark. And you know what? That film even upset McDonald's. I don't know if do you know that story, Michael?
Um, Not really, but I do know Batman Returns did a Diet Coke commercial that was pretty cool.
Yeah, they did. And even McDonald's.
Diet Coke.
Yeah, nostalgia critic, of course. I need my Diet Coke.
Yeah.
Okay, but
Sir, this is really dangerous. Fuck you, Mr. Belvedere. Diet Coke.
what does he call Alfred again? What does he call?
I don't know.
Okay.
Mr. Belvedere or something?
Okay, but as I was saying, so McDonald's was upset McDonald's was upset about Batman Returns because they made the Happy Meal toys for Batman Returns, but with Batman Returns being too dark, obviously, but it was good. I thought Batman Returns was pretty good, and that's the thing about Batman and Tim Burton. So, but when it came to Batman Forever, Tim Burton at one point was going to direct, and even say, Billy D. Williams, of course, would reprise the role of Harvey Dent / Two-Face, and there may have been a possibility that we would have gotten Robin Williams as the Riddler. That would have been awesome. And all that didn't happen after Burton was replaced with Joel Schumacher. Michael Keaton, stepped down the role of Batman / Bruce Wayne because of Joel Schumacher's directing, and so on, and Val Kilmer taking on the role, and with Burton still staying as producer of Batman Forever. And one thing I'll say about, and to finish this up on Batman Forever, Michael Keaton said that he hated the title Batman Forever because it's like a tattoo that you regret on having. It's something like that.
Yes.
Yeah, that's true. But continuing on, Nightmare Before Christmas. I know we have a lot to say on this one.
All right.
You go first.
I'll start with an interesting obscure fact. At the time, Disney were on the fence as to whether or not to fully have Tim Burton back under them. So they pretty much offloaded the Nightmare Before Christmas initially to their family-oriented film company, Touchstone Pictures. And so it was originally a Touchstone Pictures production, but then once it was seen that it was really successful and still continues to be successful to this day, Disney just splattered their Disney all over it. There's a Disney, there's a Disney, everywhere's a Disney. What's this? What's this? There's Disney everywhere. What's this? There's Disney's in the air.
Yeah, because here's what I have to say about on that. Because Electric Dragon, aka Animat, he said this in the animation look back of Tim Burton, that Michael Eisner felt that Nightmare Before Christmas was too scary for kids, and he put it under the Touchstone logo, which that's what he and the Disney company did for some films that they felt was more for adults. The same goes for Splash, Who Framed Roger Rabbit, Dick Tracy, Three Men and a Baby. I could go on. But
yeah, family friendly but still edgy.
Yeah, but kids, yeah, edgy, yeah. But as of now, kids love the Nightmare Before Christmas. It doesn't scare them. Kids love.
Yeah, after a few years, Disney changed their mind and put Nightmare Before Christmas under Disney everything. In fact, it's even got its own world in Kingdom Hearts.
Yep, and even at Disneyland, the Haunted Mansion Holiday, where every year in October and December, I can tell because they skipped it. They skipped 2020, obviously, because of the pandemic. Because Disneyland was closed for a whole year. But every year throughout October and December, the Haunted Mansion would be all decorated and themed with Nightmare Before Christmas. Basically, Jack and the citizens of Halloween Town have arrived at the Haunted Mansion and, celebrating Christmas there.
Yeah. One kind of tiny thing I'll always remember Nightmare Before Christmas for. It's the only Disney movie, to my knowledge, that has the Q word in it. What's this? In here, they've got a little tree. How queer!
Is that? I mean, what? I don't know. Like, is there something major about that where he's like, how queer?
Like, at the time, it was acceptable, and it still kind of is, because by dictionary definition, queer means weird, strange, not of the norm.
Yeah,
But,
exactly.
like, it's still a little bit problematic. It's still a little bit problematic because since people have taken on, like, the term genderqueer for, like, not confining to gender norms, now the haters are starting to use queer as an insult, like queer in the same sense as like Gaylord, Queenie, and other words I can't say on YouTube.
Yeah. Um. Oh well. Yeah. It is kind of nice that queer being used in a different term because yeah, how weird as you said. But something I was gonna say like uh, one thing that's noticeable. Okay, three things. First off, this one Patrick Stewart, now goes by Sir Patrick Stewart, Captain Jean-Luc Picard and Charles Xavier. He was
He's been
the
knighted.
what's that?
Like he's been knighted. That's why you call him Sir, because he gets knighted by like the Queen of England or whatever.
Yeah, and a quick question: is your microphone doing okay, Michael?
Yeah, what's wrong with it?
I mean, you just kind of go static a little bit, on a buff.
I think it's just a mic picking up my bed creaking. Like if I move, that happens.
Okay, but what I was about to say, like back on the subject of Patrick Stewart, like he was the narrator for the Nightmare Before Christmas, the opening, but his recording was not used in the final film, and his narration is in the soundtrack. It's even uh, there was a one last narration for the ending of the film where as the narrator says, Jack and Sally now had, six or seven skeleton children and, playing the xylophones, stuff like that. But it would have been nice if we did have Patrick Stewart as the narrator. But the narrator we got, who is the voice of Santa Claus, still turned out good. And here's another thing. Speaking of Santa, the original voice for Santa was going to be Vincent Price, but it was up to that point when, after the passing of Vincent Price's wife, and when his when his health was failing, they they decided not to have him be Santa and replaced him with who we got now as the voice of Santa. But I think it would have been awesome and amazing if they had Vincent Price as Santa, if they could have done it by chance, if they could have done it the right time and when he would have done it, I don't know, but it would have been cool, and especially to have Vincent Price in The Nightmare Before Christmas. I mean, what do you say on that, Michael?
I mean, that would be kind of cool. Though I will comment on the lack of ending narration that you mentioned earlier. Like maybe it's because they plan to do things further and they didn't want to write themselves into a corner. Because there's actually a video game out on like the game systems called Nightmare Before Christmas: Oogie's Revenge, which
I
is
was going to
kind of
mention
a
that.
follow up of sorts to the movie. And there's no children in it.
No, and maybe it was best for Jack and Sally not to have kids. Maybe.
I mean, how do skeletons have kids anyway? There's no organs, especially not of the intimate variety.
And the same goes for, well, Sally is a rag doll. So how do you explain like a rag doll having kids? How do you explain?
Like, yeah, it's like the man has no organs, and the woman is like, I know it's Disney, but she's kind of a doll, like a, like kind of like a naughty doll. That's all I can say without getting squicked. A naughty doll.
Okay. Well, anyways, yeah, there have been Disney had there have been many attempts of trying to make a sequel to Nightmare Before Christmas, including like say in 2001, Disney did consider making a sequel to Nightmare Before Christmas, and for it being computer animation, but Tim Burton convinced them not to do it and just leave it the way it is. And I think it's best for it to just be the way it is, just one movie, you know.
I mean, let's see if let me see if Wikipedia says anything. Possible sequel. Let's see. Disney began considered producing a sequel in 2001 using computer animation. Burton Christie's after yeah. I was very protective of Nightmare Before Christmas, not to do sequels or things of that kind. Happy Thanksgiving or other things. I felt the movie had a purity to it, and the people that like it because the mass market kind of thing. It was important to kind of keep that purity of it. Oh my God, I bet he favors abstinence. Oogie's Revenge was the game, and did serve as a sequel, with Capcom's developers asking Burton for advice.
Yeah.
Like, okay, alright, here we go. Alright, here's something recent in regards to the sequel. In February 2019, it was reported a new Nightmare Before Christmas film was in the works with Disney, considering either stop-motion sequel or live-action remake. And Chris Sarandon expressed interest on reprising his role of Jack Skellington if there is a sequel.
Uh-huh. But he
Blah
had
blah
times.
blah.
But
February 21. Okay.
I was just gonna say, at times, Chris Sarandon did reprise the role of Jack Skellington, most notably in video games.
Yes, like Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah.
And also, what we got of that sequel, though, in February of 2021, Disney Publishing announced the sequel would be given to the film in the form of a young adult novel written by Shay Earnshaw from the perspective of Sally,
Yeah.
with the events taking place after the film.
Yep, I know about that. In fact, I was gonna mention that. Um, let's see how that turns out.
Yeah, like I don't know when or if that's coming out anytime soon, but I am interested. Like congratulations Disney, you did the impossible. You got me interested in books.
Yeah. So, anyways, so also, I'm trying to think of okay. There's one other thing I forgot to mention because Burton really did want to direct Nightmare Before Christmas, but because that he was still in the process of finishing up Batman Returns, and he had already had Ed Wood in production, he just didn't have the time to direct it, and so he put Henry Selick in the directing position. And yet they were good friends at Cal Arts, so.
Hmm.
But yeah, so okay, so jumping from Number for Christmas straight to what would come out a year later, which being of course Ed Wood. Do you have anything to say on Ed Wood first, Michael?
I don't even know what Ed Wood is.
Do you not know who Ed Wood was?
Is it no, is he real? Is this
He
a
was
documentary?
he was real. Are you at least familiar with one movie title, Plan 9 from Outer Space?
Sounds like a B movie.
There you go. That is a B movie, and that's Ed Wood for you.
Huh.
Yeah. So, let me see. Hold on. If I could I am going to read to you and, also talk about what Ed Wood is. Uh here it is. Uh Here's one that's short. Ambitious but troubled movie director Edward D. Wood Jr. tries his best to fulfill his dreams despite his lack of talent. And also here's another one. Um, the Life of Edward D. Wood Jr., hailed as the worst director of Plan 9 from Outer Space, Glenn or Glenda, and Bride of the Monster of all time. So, he, in because Johnny Depp, of course, who plays Ed Wood, sorry. And there's also Bella Lugosi, fantastically played by the late great Martin Landau, and Sarah Jessica Parker, who's in this. Dolores, yeah, Fuller, Patricia, who plays Kathy O'Hara, and Jeffrey Jones, who's in this. Vincent D'Onofrio played Orson Welles in one sequence. Bill Murray is in this too. Tim Burton's ex girlfriend, I guess. Yeah, Lisa Mary was Vampira. And Norman Eldon was cameraman Bill. I'm familiar with Norman Allen. Did a voice in The Sword of the Stone, but I think this film was done so well, and this was actually, fun fact, Tim Burton's first rated R film. And one thing that's not true in this film, and it was fiction in this, is that Bela Lugosi, cursed a lot. And according to Bela Lugosi's actual son, his father did not use that kind of language. He didn't really cuss. But come on, this is a movie, and this totally worked in this film. And Martin Landau would go on to win an Oscar for his performance as Bela Lugosi. And this was the first Tim Burton film where Danny Elfman did not do the music and score for this. The music and score for this film was done by Howard Shore, who would, of course, be best known for doing the music and score for the Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit films.
Like, I do know this kind of gives me some vibes of the Nostalgia Critic, like either talking about his old 6th grade horror movies, or like when he did Demo Reel.
Yeah, so that's true. And kind of like in the same territory like what Ed Wood was doing. I mean, if that's what you're saying, I don't know.
Like something like that, because the thing about a bad director or bad movies, it kind of gives me Demo Reel vibes. Because Nostalgia Critic was Donnie Dupre at one point.
Okay. All right, but I was just gonna say I love Ed Wood. It's a fantastic film. Do you have anything else to say before we move on?
Like, like I, I hope the idea of indie filmmaking never dies. I know it's diluted a bit with the way YouTube is. Anyone can make videos and talk crap about anything, but I hope the idea of independent filmmaking, like just getting together with some friends, pulling together a couple hundred or thousand, and just making something, I hope that never dies.
Uh-huh. Yeah. All right. So moving on. Now we come to Mars Attacks.
Is this another B movie?
No, it's not. It's Tim Burton's film, No, it's not.
Yeah, but even the greatest of people can make B movies. Hell, Tim Curry was in a Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Yeah, but that didn't really that doesn't feel like a B movie to me. But um but
I'm going on sound, but it's a cult classic.
yeah.
Some people like that kind of shit.
Uh-huh. But Mars Attacks, that was, you know what? I don't think it's that bad. And this was also the return of Danny Elfman working with Burton, and it's got a big cast again, as I said. Like we were talking about a little bit of Tim Burton before we started streaming. Like, yeah, from again Jack Nicholson, Piers Brosnan, just Sarah Jessica Parker, Annette Bening, and Glenn Close, Danny DeVito, Martin Short, Michael J. Fox, Tom Jones, Natalie Portman, Jack Black. Yeah, just big cast in this. And
Jack Black was in Mars Attacks?
What now?
Jack Black was in Mars Attacks? Where?
Yeah, he was in it. He was He was like this. He played this one guy like he was like entering into the army. The soldiers.
Wow. That was kind of the opposite of what I expected him to be doing.
Yeah, but of course he does get killed by one of the He does get killed, of course, by the Martians.
Yeah, that's one of Jack Black's proudest achievements, playing a character that died in glory.
Yeah, but no, he kind of like he
Yeah.
yeah he does yeah, but you just have to see the movie. You have to watch the movie to see. So, anyways, but Mars Attacks, like you know what, like I think it was pretty good. Like for the Martians, and sometimes they I believe so. Yeah, they used practical effects, like especially the inside of the Martians UFOs. Like those were practical sets models, and they inserted the CGI Martians. At one point they were going to be stop motion, but because of the budget and how much it would have cost to do it in stop motion, they were instead done, as CG and with ILM doing the Martians. And I guess the thing was just to make them they look even as of today they still look pretty good, the Martians do. And I think it's like they were given like this almost like stop motion feel to it almost. I think that's the purpose. So there's that. And
It does give me Jurassic Park vibes thinking about it, cause
what's that now?
when he did Jurassic Park, thinking about it gives me Jurassic Park vibes, cause like when they did the Jurassic Park movies, the dinosaurs were actually animatronics, but they actually did CG to kind of fill out the rest of the design of the dinosaur.
Yeah, and it went pretty well.
Yeah, that's where the special digital effects work their best, when you blend them with practical effects and give the sense that something is there. But if you do all CG and everything looks fake, then what am I supposed to feel for?
Yeah, exactly. Anyways, but also, um, something I was gonna say. Oh yeah, because and the way that the Martians are defeated in this, well, it's music that kills them. And if you didn't know that.
Music kills them. Why am I getting great? Now I'm being reminded of Attack of the Twonkies.
Okay, I'm not really familiar with that.
It's a Jimmy Neutron special. You ever watch Jimmy Neutron?
Oh yeah, I have, but I'm not sure if I remember that one.
Um, Okay, it's tricky to explain. It's like there's these little puffball creatures from Twonkus 3, and they look so cute and cuddly and adorable. But if you play music in front of them, they act like gremlins. They start going ape and attacking everything. But you can kind of make them fall asleep if you play like really crappy music. So they had to have Sheen on standby to sing because he's a terrible singer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Uh,
Okay. But anyways, also trying to remember. Okay. Well, moving on. Now, like a couple of years after he did Mars Attacks, then of course came Sleepy Hollow, which was the last film he did right before the '90s decade came to an end.
Um, was this was this like a 2D animated Disney film, or was this a different thing?
This was clearly a different thing. The 2D animation, like the hand drawn animation of Sleepy Hollow, was from the late '40s.
Yeah, because like that's all I remember is the hand drawn animation, because it was on one of my Halloween party sing along discs. The like the hip hip and a clippity clap. He's out
Yeah,
looking for a time to.
yeah. But for Tim Burton's Sleepy Hollow, because well, Johnny Depp, of course, is Ichabod Crane. I remember Martin Landau has has a small has an uncredited cameo in the opening, and Christopher Lee's in that, and Jeffrey Jones, Michael Gambon. And this was before he was Dumbledore. Ian McDermott, aka Palpatine, was in that too. And also, yeah, the late Richard Griffiths, who would go on to be Uncle Vernon in the Harry Potter films, and Michael Goff. I think I got the last name right. Yeah, and he previously was Alfred in the Batman films, and he came out of retirement for this film, and he did a little bit of acting later on, especially for with Tim Burton, and of course Christopher Walken as the headless horseman himself. Lady Crane was Lisa Mary, and Christina Ricci. I'm surprised that she hadn't done any other Tim Burton film after this, because Christina Ricci fitted pretty well in like something of Tim Burton. Like she was Katrina Van Tassel, like who would be Ichabod's love interest. But I really love Tim Burton's Sleepy Hollow. It's well done, and he even at times stayed close and paid homage to like Disney's version, with a couple of scenes that were just like what they were in the Disney version. But do you have anything to say on Sleepy Hollow?
Not really. Sorry.
Okay, but all I can say is that Tim Burton's Sleepy Hollow, it was great, and yeah. So, and now when the 2000 decade entered, first came, of course, Tim Burton's as he called it, reimagining, his reimagining of Planet of the Apes.
Hmm.
Do you have nothing to say on that?
Um. Other than the usual, you maniac, you blew it up, damn you all to hell. Wrong movie.
Yeah, I mean that was the original Planet of the Apes, but Tim Burton's Planet of the Apes, I quite enjoy this, and I think it's pretty well done. Like, okay, Planet of the Apes is based off of a book, okay, and you know, like Tim Burton's Planet of the Apes does stay true to like what happens like with the events of Planet of the Apes, with a few differences, of course. And the makeup in this film is fantastic, definitely. And the casting I thought was pretty good, and gosh, especially I got a good kick out of Tim Roth's performance as the main villain, Thade. He was pretty good in this, and Mark Wahlberg, who was in this, he was great too. And the ending to it, it does share a little bit of in common with the twist ending that is the most popular twist ending in film history, I should say, with the Statue of Liberty. Because in this one of Tim Burton's Planet of the Apes, and spoilers, apparently, planet Earth was already inhabited by the apes, and Thade being taking the place of Lincoln. So, the Lincoln statue is the face of Thade. And that's where it ends off, where, when after Mark Wahlberg's character returns, all of the apes surround him, like the police, apes, etc. And it left open for like a possibility of a sequel, but we never got it. And even Burton stated that he would rather jump out of a window than direct a sequel to Planet of the Apes.
Reminds me of Jim Carrey in that regard, because he would rather. I don't know what he said he'd rather do, but he said he would never do a sequel to The Mask.
But I don't know. I mean, he now seems open for doing it.
I mean, I know that he did. I know he's open to sequels in general now because he's doing the Sonic sequel.
Yeah. Yeah, he is. Yeah, he's doing that. So.
Yeah, I guess he did some reconnaissance.
Okay. But anyways,
you've never seen Sonic the Hedgehog?
yeah, I have seen Sonic the Hedgehog. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
But what I was gonna
I was referencing the ending. Yeah.
Yeah, but I did see the ending, of course. The two endings to that film.
There were two.
Yes, I have.
Like I didn't say that. I said there were two endings.
Yeah, there was, of course, with Eggman, and also Tails made an appearance.
Oh yeah. I remember that one.
Okay.
I,
Uh,
okay.
okay, but as I was saying, what I was gonna say was okay. So there's that on Planet of the Apes. Then came other movies that he was kind of doing at the same time, and that of course is uh, Big Fish, Corpse Bride, and Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
Don't know, and wow.
Wow on Charlie.
Yes.
Well, let's start with you. What do you have to say about Charlie?
Um, like I will admit the world building. Um, like I like how like the book, it's based more around Willy Wonka. It's
Yeah,
himself and not necessarily the kid.
yeah,
Mm. But that being said, it does open some weird shit cuz like the book and the Burton movie are Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, and it's about Willy Wonka. But the other movie is Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, but it's about Charlie. How do you fuck that up?
yeah, exactly. Well,
Yeah.
yeah, but are you technically done on Charlie?
Um, I'm trying to think. I do like another thing I love about the Charlie one compared to the Willy one is that the Charlie one actually adapts the songs from the book because the book has unique songs for each child, and to capitalize on it, each song in the movie has its own unique musical genre. And compare it to the Willy Wonka movie, where every single song has that stupid oompa loompa boopa dee boop. I have a goddamn puzzle for you. Uh, yeah. I mean, I like the Oompa Loompa song as much as the next guy, but I like uniqueness. Okay, I'm done.
Okay, so okay, but something else. Okay, so I'll say like I have nothing much to say on Big Fish. I've still not seen it. I need to, but all I can say is like that movie is great, and it's based off of a book by the same name, and Burton directing it, Ewan McGregor being the main star. Um, that's about it. And even Danny DeVito, who was a ringmaster in that film, there was a circus sequence, and there was a giant, real life giant, and yeah, but also on Corpse Bride, that was another stop motion film where this time Tim Burton did direct it, but it was also a co-directing film, so it was not just Tim Burton, but somebody else directed it. Because he was directing that, he was directing both Corpse Bride and Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. So and even like say Johnny Depp going from playing Wonka and voicing Victor at the same time, and the same goes for Helen Bonham Carter, like playing Charlie's mother and also voicing the Corpse Bride, real name Emily. But the stop motion is fantastic for Corpse Bride, and the design of the characters, the look, and the songs. I especially love the song. You know, "Remains of the Day." It's a pretty good. I think it's a pretty catchy song, and Danny Elfman, who sings the song, he voices another singing skeleton, as he had previously did was the singing voice of Jack Skellington. Um, and yeah, and like say it's villain, like it's Richard E. Grant who voices the villain, and yeah, and there was like this one green worm. He probably was a worm or he was a maggot, and he was definitely like homage to and acting like Peter Lorre, Peter Lorre, that kind of voice. Yeah. And so
Yeah.
yeah, and so I see. Yeah, Corpse Bride was fantastic, and the behind the scenes and how Corpse Bride came to be. It was because of it all started during the production of Nightmare Before Christmas when late legendary, member of Pixar, Joe Ranft, he presented Burton with an 18 book or something, and which would be the inspiration for Corpse Bride, and Joe Ranft would be producer of that film. But during production of Corpse Bride and before it was released, and during the time when, the production of Cars was coming to an end, as we all know, Joe Ranft sadly died in a car crash. So both Corpse Bride and Cars were dedicated to his memory. So, yeah, and Joe Ranft, who had worked with Burton a couple of times, and yeah, even like say when they worked at Disney, I can tell because there was a friendship with both Joe Ranft and Tim Burton. But so that's that on Corpse Bride and Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. I loved watching Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. I watched it all the time growing up, and it was the first it was the first one I saw before the Gene Wilder version. Fun fact. Everything that we talked about Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, because what you said, Michael, and like even like say we get this was never in the book, but it was a perfect fit in this one where the backstory of Wonka, and with Wonka's father, Wilbur Wonka, was a dentist. And yeah, so there's that, and yeah, just I you know what, and again, to point this out for sure, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory was not a remake of the Gene Wilder version. It was another movie adaptation of Roald Dahl's book. Okay, so there you go. People need to understand that these are that from this or even say Tim Burton's Planet of the Apes. They're not remakes of the original films. They are another adaptation. They're another movie adaptation of the books. So there you go.
Right.
So there's that on Charlie for me. But I will say, like the songs. Okay, God, I forgot to mention the songs. They were fantastic in this. Um, okay, the lyrics that the Oompa Loompas sing to, they are in the book. They are in the book themselves. They are in the book. It's just that with with the music and tune to go with the lyrics, I think they work pretty well. With Augustus Gloop, it's a '50s mambo. Uh, Violet Beauregard, it's a '60s disco. Veruca Salt, a '70s like hippie song, love hippie song, whatever, and Mike TV song, it's an '80s rock band. And as we all know, in the Gene Wilder version, they barely stayed true to the book pretty much. And even with the Oompa Loompa singing, entirely different. But with what Tim Burton did in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, he did his very best to stay true with the book, and nobody sings in the film except for the Oompa Loompas, and that's how it should be. So there you go.
All right.
So, all right, so that's that on Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Now we've come to other movies that he did, from like Sweeney Todd, which I haven't seen yet. You have nothing. You don't have the much to say on Sweeney Todd.
Is he that rich kid?
Now what?
Like Sweeney Todd's like a rich kid, right? Like I'm rich, I'm better than you, like that kind of shit.
No, he was a barber shop, but also a murderer. No, he was a bar. He was
And I'm
he
out.
was a he was a he was a murder/barber.
How the fuck? Like, I just, it's like, I mean, I should be surprised, but at the same time, I've seen a movie about an ice cream truck man that was also a murderer, so.
Okay. I don't think I've seen that one.
Yeah, it's not a Tim Burton one, it's a different one.
Okay. All right, but anyways, also, trying to remember. Oh yeah, because other movies that he did, like where he had produced movies. For example, like he had, of course, produced Nine, and he also produced Abraham Lincoln, The Vampire Hunter. Do we have anything to say on those?
I got nothing. Sorry. Where did the sound go?
I'm still here. I was replying. I was texting, but anyways, but okay, but what I have to say on Nine and Abraham Lincoln, Vampire Hunter, well, I've still not seen Nine. I need to. It looks interesting with the concept and the way the movie is and the story. And for Abraham Lincoln, the Vampire Hunter, that I have seen, and it's not that bad actually. An interesting concept and an interesting story. Um, you know, as I said, looks pretty. My mom and I, we did watch Abraham Lincoln, the Vampire Hunter, and we enjoyed it. We didn't think it was that bad, and to think that because here's the thing: this year does mark the film's 10th anniversary, but this year also marks another film's 10th anniversary, which is Steven Spielberg's Lincoln. So in 2012, we got both Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter, and later on in that year, we got Steven Spielberg's Lincoln. So he got two movies about Lincoln in 1 year.
Wow. And to think, like that was the year of Lincoln, and I think it was either 2020 or 2021 was the year of Alexander Hamilton, I guess.
Uh-huh. Okay, but anyways, so moving on, like other movie. Okay, so more movies that Burton did direct. Like, okay, there's of course the live action version of Alice in Wonderland, Tim Burton's version, obviously.
Hmm.
Like, to me, it's a bit similar to with how the Jungle Book live action version turned out. Like, it's not retelling, they're not doing the same thing like what the animated movies did. They have different stories to them, and that's a good thing. So I don't see Tim Burton's Alice in Wonderland that bad, because in this one it's a continuation, like Alice returning to Wonderland after all these years, after she was a little after she was a little girl. That's kind of a nice touch there. Johnny Depp was the Mad Hatter, and Helen Bonham Carter as the Red Queen, and Anna Hathaway as the White Queen, and even Christopher Lee. He was the voice of the Jabberwock, and Alan Rickman. He was the voice of the Caterpillar, and he was previously in Sweeney Todd. So, but there's that,
Yeah.
and other movies. No, go ahead.
I'll give credit to Alice in Wonderland. It was like one of the first movies that came out in my years that introduced the idea of blending like CG with live action. Like this was after Jurassic Park, but this was like the first movie I saw that integrated, and I think it works really well.
Oh yeah. And this was also in Alice in Wonderland, Tim Burton's Alice in Wonderland, the last film role for Michael Goff. He did voice work in this, and this was before he passed away. He was the voice of the Dodo, and yep. So
How convenient.
yep. And yet, because we all know, and when with Alice Through the Looking Glass, what do we have to say about Alice Through the Looking Glass? Do you have anything to say?
It's a sequel, and um, shit.
Yeah,
Uh,
it didn't turn out that great.
hmm.
Yeah, and and because speaking of Michael Goff, like, because he was Alfred in Tim Burton's Batman films and in the Joel Schumacher Batman films, and he would voice the Dodo, and I said he was in Sleepy Hollow, like, the Dodo not appearing in Alice Through the Looking Glass, and it was probably because, in respect for Michael Goff, because after he had passed away, that makes perfect sense, and in Alice Through the Looking Glass, because, well, Tim Burton was producer of that film, and Danny Elfman, he did the music and score for it, and you know, this time, like, Sasha Baron Cohen was like played the timekeeper or timeless, whatever his name is, and with the return of the Red Queen and the White Queen, and Alice trying to save Mad Hatter from dying, like he's sick in bed, I want to say, and so there's that, and also I'm trying to remember. Oh yeah, other films from Tim Burton, like did you ever see? I don't know, because I don't know if you've seen this, Michael, or if you have anything to say on this for what I'm about to say. The Dark Shadows.
Never heard of it.
Okay, well, that's basically a vampire film, and Johnny Depp. I heard about this, that Johnny Depp called up Burton and said to him that we ought to do like a vampire movie and such, and thus they did. We had the Dark Shadows, and Johnny Depp, Helen Blam Carter, Michelle Pfeiffer, Chloe Grace, and Christopher Lee, who made a cameo in this. I could go on, um, but yeah, and then of course there's also I don't know if you have anything to say on this one, Miss Peregrine.
Never heard of that either, but in regard to Dark Shadows, you'd have to do a lot of convincing to tell me it's good because vampire movies have kind of been ruined for me ever since Twilight.
Well, honestly, I don't think Dark Shadows is that bad. After all, because you've got freaking Johnny Depp as a vampire, and it's directed by Tim Burton. What else is there to say?
I mean, I might rent it on Netflix at some point, but like if it involves a horny teenage girl, I'm out.
I don't think so. I don't think so. It does not. I don't
I,
think.
I hope not.
Anyways, so yeah, Miss Peregrine, because it is based off of another book, and I remember my dad and I seeing this, and we thought it was not that bad. Like, gosh, hold on, what's her face? Who was in the Dark Shadows? Give me a second. Um, yeah, okay, Eva Green. Like, she was in the Dark Shadows, and then she would go on to be in Miss Peregrine as Miss Peregrine. And it's got a good cast again, as I said. Like, okay, Eva Green is Miss Peregrine, and um, Samuel L. Jackson as the main villain, and it's awesome for once. Like, we have Samuel L. Jackson in a Tim Burton film, and he does pretty well in this. And I actually do remember seeing Tim Burton making a cameo in the film. He does make a cameo in Miss Peregrine, and oh yeah, and Terrence Stamp, he's in the film too, and also oh, we also forgot to mention this, because now that we're done talking about Miss Peregrine, there's also the stop motion version of Frankenweenie.
Yes, this was him. Like very rarely will a movie person go back and change their movie after it's released, and Tim Burton's no exception. I think the real exception is George Lucas, but this is Frankenweenie done right.
Yeah, exactly. And it's it was it for it being stop motion, it was much better.
Yeah. Like, with the exception of Frankenweenie, like I said, Tim Burton doesn't believe in changing something once it's released. But I'm willing to bet you if he went all the way back to that Hansel and Gretel TV thing and replaced all the music with Danny Elfman music, that'd be a significant improvement.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Anyway, you were saying about Frank and Weenie?
Yeah, like, Frankenweenie was, made a lot more sense for it being stop motion, and especially when looking at the concept and design for Frankenweenie. Yeah, and it had a great cast, and for one, like, this was one of the few times where, like, Helen Bonham Carter and Johnny Depp were not in a Tim Burton film, and most notably, of course, like Catherine O'Hara and Martin Short were heavily involved in this, and even Martin Landau did a voice as well in this, and even, like, say, the character that Martin Landau voiced was modeled after Vincent Price, and with Martin Landau doing the voice, still did pretty good, but even, like, say, Frankenweenie pays tribute to some classic monsters like Godzilla, the Gremlins. I could go on, but yeah. So there's that, and then I think, yeah, this was his latest one, and the last one. Well, oh no, no. Well, really have nothing to say on this, and I know you wouldn't either when I say this. Big Eyes.
Never heard of it.
I know a little of it. It's based off of a real person who painted some artwork where the eyes were big, and Amy Adams, who plays this artist and designer, and Terrence Stamp was in it too. That's all I know about it. I know I'm gonna have to check it out at some point. But there's also, and haven't seen this either, and that, of course, being another live action film he did, which being Dumbo.
All right.
Do you have anything to say on Dumbo?
Dumbo, that's the elephant,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah. Of course.
Okay. Is this 2D animation or the live action remake?
We're talking about the live action version, Tim Burton directed.
Oh, that was a recent one, I think.
Yeah, as of now, over 3 years ago. Yeah.
Ah.
Yeah, I
Hmm.
really have nothing to say that much about it. Like, I know that Eva Green is in this, Alan Arkin, Michael Keaton, and Danny DeVito are in this too. That's about it, and it has a different story to it, of course. So there's that. But do you have anything to say?
I don't really have anything unless they have that Pink Elephant song.
I think it does. Yeah.
Huh. Yeah, cause like I remember it from the cartoon one, and it was pretty trippy. I don't know if
Yeah.
it was just as trippy in the live action, but I do know it was creative.
Uh huh.
Huh. What do I do? What do I do? What
What?
an unusual view.
I can stand the sight of worms. Blah 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 blah. Yeah. And what a sight! Chase them away! Blah 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 blah. Pink
It's
elephant
the
parade.
way.
Yeah, yeah.
Eesh. Anyway, I got nothing else for Dumbo.
Me neither. And is there anything else we're missing of Tim Burton?
Let me look through the filmography here. Um, okay, that's his feature films. That's his producer credit. Da 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 da. Short films. Da 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 da. Um, uh, I'll read through these and you tell me if you're familiar with, and you can talk about them if you're familiar with them. The Island of Dr. Agor.
The Island of Dr. Igor. I'm not sure. No, I don't know. Hold on a second.
Like Agor, not Igor.
Oh, yeah, it was that Cal Arts short he made in 1971. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I'm just kind of reading through his. I'm just kind of reading through what I can at this point, trying to see if we find anything worth talking about. Um, let's see. How about Prehistoric Caveman?
Prehistoric Caveman. Yeah, I've not seen that one.
Alright.
There's also
Mhm.
there's also Houdini, The Untold Story, Tim's Dreams.
We're looking at the same list.
Yeah, and then 1997, a short from 1974, and King and the King and Octopus animation. Yeah.
Trying to trying to find something I'm trying to find something that we can recognize and talk about. Uh, okay, scrolling down to music videos, I don't recognize any of them. Commercials, I don't
I've
recognize any of
seen
them.
I've seen a
Uh,
little bit of I've seen a little bit of this one. It's called The World of Stain Boy.
The World of Stain Boy. Where is it? Oh, Stain Boy. Stain Boy. Uh, he Yeah, he was director, producer, and writer and character designer, and they were released on the internet.
Yeah.
Mm. I didn't know Tim Burton made internet stuff.
Yeah.
Like, apparently, Tim Burton's still working today. His last known project was in 2020. He did the music video for Chelsea Grin's Blind Kings. So I don't think he's stopping anytime soon. If he's still working in 2020, who knows what could happen?
And I think we all know, like, there was for a while, like, Burton was married to, Helen Bonham Carter. So,
Hmm.
but anyways, um, is there anything else we're missing, or do you think we pretty much covered everything on Tim Burton?
Um, I got some stuff here about some projects that were never seen to fruition.
Oh, go. Okay, we can go ahead. You go ahead and talk about those.
Let's see.
I'll comment on them.
All right. We'll start with the Superman film. Kevin Smith was
Yes.
hired to write
Super.
Superman. Superman Lives. Kevin Smith
Yes.
was hired to write it, and he suggested Tim Burton to direct it. Nicolas Cage was going to play Superman. Um, Wesley Strick was going to rewrite the script. Blah blah blah. Um, and everything was good except until the budget kicked in, and Warner Brothers wanted Dan Gilroy to rewrite the film again.
Yeah, and
Uh,
even like
and after all, he's like, "Screw that! I'll direct Sleepy Hollow instead." He
yeah,
cites he depicted like he said that experience was difficult, citing differences with John Peters and the studio. He says, "quote I basically wasted a year. A year is a long time to be working with somebody you really don't want to be working with."
mm-hmm. And
Yeah.
my comment on Superman Lives, I know a lot about that, and you know, even what Tim Burton said on the Howard Stern radio show, like talking about Superman, and at one point, like, they were having trouble with like Superman's costume, and you know, even like say, you know, having trouble talking because I've been talking a lot, but the casting for Nicolas Cage's Superman was not that bad, and you know, I think you know what he would have been good as uh, as Superman, and because let's face it, like it would have been, I'm sure it would have been pretty good, because well, you know, you had Kevin Smith writing the film, but you also have Tim Burton directing it, and with him directing it, it would have turned out pretty good, and you know, it was even at that point when, like, say, James Cameron was going to do a Spider-Man movie with Leonardo DiCaprio, you know, visioned for the role of Peter Parker slash Spider-Man, and I think Arnold Schwarzenegger was considered for Doctor Octopus, but of course that Spider-Man film and the Superman film didn't come to be, and I read about this that Nicolas Cage was that Superman was one of Nicolas Cage's dream roles. From that to Dracula, which he's going to be playing as of now, and Captain Nemo of 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. And you know, he did at one point did play Superman, and that is he voiced Superman in the Teen Titans Go animated movie. So that's all we got of Nicolas Cage's Superman. But also, let me see. What else do I want to say? Oh yeah, there was even a documentary about the canceled Superman film directed and written by the late John Schnepp, and yeah, and like he was talking to Kevin Smith and Tim Burton, like they were talking about the film and such, and Kevin's like, okay, Michael, you are familiar with Collider videos? You
Um, Collider.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
YouTube
What do you
channel.
do? Did he make YTPs?
No, they talk about nerd stuff, you know, and John Schnepp. Okay, so you probably don't, but just to make this small of what I have to say, like Collider Videos is this YouTube channel talking about movie stuff or reviewing movies, whatever. And John Schnepp was I think was one of the best things from Collider Videos. He was such a sweet and nice guy, and he was taken away from us too early, passed away. And Kevin Smith paying tribute to John Schnepp at Comic Con, and if I recall, like John Schnepp, I think he was involved, like I think he was working at Adult Swim. I'm pretty sure, but he had written and directed and made a documentary about the canceled Superman film, Superman Lives. So there you go. But is there anything else like that you were looking up of canceled projects of Tim Burton?
Um, Something kind of related. After Dark Shadows was finished in January of 2010, it was announced that his next project would be Maleficent. You know, that Sleeping Beauty movie.
I
Um,
did not know that.
but yeah, but a month later, in an interview published by Fandango, he denied he was directing any upcoming Sleepy Beauty film. But in November of 2010, he did an interview with MTV saying that he was putting together a script for Maleficent. And then the Hollywood Reporter reported in May of 2011 that Burton was no longer attached to the project.
Hmm. Oh well. I mean, that would have been a perfect fit for Burton, but oh well. I mean, Maleficent. What we
Yeah,
got of now of Maleficent was turned out pretty good, in my opinion.
yeah, it's like I don't know what to make of Maleficent. It's like I think it's like all the other bad guy movies. They tried to make the bad guy redeemable by telling it from their perspective. But I think
Mm.
Maleficent kind of like subverts that a bit by like having her just be evil for the sake of it and just showing her be cruel and heartless, and it's kind of like Vader in that respect until like 2/3 of the way to the movie when it falls right into the tropes they were trying to avoid earlier.
Yeah. Yes. Okay, but anyways,
Yeah.
something else I was gonna say. Um, what was I gonna say? Okay, well, nothing. But is there anything else?
Uh, let's see. Let's see here. In uh, there was it was reported at one point that Tim Burton would direct a 3D stop motion animation of the Addams Family, but in
Yes.
July of 2013, that project got scrapped.
Yep. But as of now, he is going to direct and write and direct the Netflix series Wednesday Adams.
Ah, let's see. Oh, here's a big one. In July of 2012, after Dark Shadows and Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter were released, it was announced that screenwriter novelist Seth Grahame-Smith was working with Burton on a potential sequel to Beetlejuice. Michael Keaton said he
Yeah.
wanted to be the title character again, alongside Winona Ryder. Um, in fast forward October 2017, they said Mike Vukaninovich, I don't know how you say it,
Me neither.
um, was hired to write a script for the 30th anniversary of the film. But then fast forward a bit more, Warner Brothers stated in April 2019 that the sequel got shelved.
They haven't figured out, like, I wouldn't mind personally. I wouldn't mind a Beetlejuice 2. I'm not asking for it really, but it wouldn't hurt for there to be a sequel. I don't see why not. But it'd be interesting, like, to see the characters once again, and Michael Keaton in the makeup again. Just you name it.
Mm. One thing I don't know about Tim Burton and would like to know about Tim Burton is how he feels about parody, about spoofs. Cause like, what if one day I decided to make a short film knockoff of Beetlejuice and make it funny and call it Buggy Drink? How would he feel about that?
Drink. I don't know. I honestly don't know.
Just imagine like half the people say it'd be a good movie, half the people would say Tim Burton would hate it and would burn us in hell over it, but then you cut to Tim Burton in a restaurant watching Buggy Drink and he's just laughing his ass off or something.
Yeah. Is there anything
And-
else? Is there anything else
Mhm.
we're missing out, like we haven't mentioned yet?
um um let's see. Just this one thing that doesn't have many details. In 2011, it was reported that Burton was working on a live-action adaptation of Hunchback of Notre Dame, starring Josh Brolin, who would also be co-producer. This project did not move forward.
Huh. Okay. Interesting.
What would Tim Burton's Hunchback of Notre Dame be like?
Yeah. What would have been? And to think, because, well, Disney is in development for a live action Hunchback of Notre Dame film. So, and apparently, like, people like say Josh Gad is said to be involved, and people like Chris Hemsworth and Gal Gadot, like, they're interested in, like, playing the playing roles in the film. Yeah, so
Right. Um. I guess the only thing left to mention would be like something about his early years of drawing and doodling, because that was his passion. Um, Not much I can say about it that Bob's show hasn't said already. So let me just find that clip real quick, and Decent, when I find that clip, get ready to screen share it. Uh, Um, I just need to find it. Okay. No, no, where's the part where he talks about the drawing? Fast forward. Uh, okay. Here we go. I just need to screen share it now. Uh, uh, hmm, um,
Some of the stills are brilliant, some of them.
whoops.
What the heck happened?
I'm trying to find the part where he talks. The movie started blaring at full volume. The video started blaring at full volume while I was trying to screen share it.
Yeah.
Here we go. I think I'm almost there. Here we go.
Intoxicating to me. One thing that you may not know about him is that if something pops into his head, he has to draw it. He carries around a notepad with him at all times, but if he doesn't have one, he'll just reach for a napkin or a pamphlet or anything that he can get his hands on and just start drawing away. I was lucky enough to see his exhibit at the LA County Museum of Art a few years ago, and before the museum staff caught me and demanded that I put my camera away, I was able to get a picture of a freaking newspaper that he decided to cover with clowns for some reason. And when was this newspaper printed? 1992. Not only does this guy draw every random thing taking a casual stroll through his brain, but he keeps everything he draws, not even caring if anyone will ever see it. Many people are familiar with his short films Vincent and Frankenweenie, which he made in the early 80s back when he was working as a Disney animator.
And then it just goes to his Hansel and Gretel review, and we already know how that went. Hansel and Gretel, yeah. But yeah, I mean, heck, I don't know if he said this already, but like, sometimes he doesn't even wait for pad and pencil. He'll draw whatever comes to his mind with whatever he can get his hands on.
Exactly. I think like the.
If that's not dedication to the craft, what is?
Yeah, I feel like because like Walt Disney did something like that. The Pixar crew did something like that too. Just I think so. But
yeah, like a lot of us get our careers from something. Like for me, like what got me interested in the idea of editing videos was when I watched YouTube Poops. And what got me like practical skill and knowing that I could be good at it was when I just downloaded random videos on the internet and censored them. Yeah, it's as simple as hell edit, but it works.
So, is there anything else to talk about Tim Burton?
Not that I'm aware of. Let's go to final thoughts, I guess.
To what?
We're on the ending now. Any last words about Tim Burton before we get to the ending?
Yeah. Do you want to go? Do you want to go first?
While I may not be familiar 100% with Tim Burton's body of work, I can totally acknowledge the impact he had on like filmmakers and artists and just creative types in general. And it's a good lesson in like being creative and not letting anyone stop you. Cause like even though Tim Burton works for like family-friendly companies and was demanded family-friendly projects, he still pushes them to their limit, and I can always respect someone that like pushes limits.
Yeah.
Anything you want to say?
Yes. I will. Okay. What I have to say about Tim Burton is this. Well, I've always been, and still am, of course, a huge Tim Burton fan. Always loved his movies, and always look forward to what he has in store next. And as of now, because he so far and only has the Wednesday Addams series and in the works, and it's got its cast, and I'm very interested to see how this is going to turn out, and just to think, because this is a perfect combination, Tim Burton and the Addams family, because yeah, because of the style and look of the Addams Family, it goes so well with Tim Burton's, so that will be very interesting. And if Beetlejuice 2 still happens, I mean, because as you said, like Warner Brothers announced that it was shelved, and who knows? It could very well happen. I don't
Like,
know, but
shelved doesn't mean scrapped. Like shelved doesn't mean scrapped. Like, they still have it. They still could do something with it. They just don't know what to do with it yet.
well, I mean, yeah, that's what I'm kind of like trying to say. I mean, until the time comes when Warner Brothers decides, okay, let's try and get back to doing this, and so on. And you know what? It could work, and if as long as they get the original cast, and with Tim Burton being heavily involved, of course.
Right.
But again, to as I said, and in closing for me, Tim Burton, he was always he's a great director and a writer, and with it's like, he had the audience enter into his world and his imagination, and thus we've entered into his world and imagination of his movies. And fun fact, because I don't know if you knew this, but as I recall, like he is on the autistic spectrum. He's autistic, to put it that. And yeah, that's nice to hear.
That.
What's that?
I was not aware of that.
You didn't know about that, you said?
Yeah.
Okay. But he is, so anyways, so I think I'm done right there.
All right. So that's it for this episode of SmackDown. Tune in on Monday, where I'll be playing Rock Band 4, and we're gonna try our best to get, hopefully, not a copyright block.
Yeah.
And
what's for
the next SmackDown.
Yes.
All right. And by the way, there's New Year's Evolution
Next
this Saturday.
SmackDown will be
tomorrow. Robots.
Fuck, where's the schedule?
Aliens.
Hang on.
It's aliens.
Oh yeah, it's Alien.
Aliens. Yes. Good luck with that. You're on your own for that one. And
I think I've got it
and
too.
Stay tuned for stay tuned for the upcoming. Wait, is it New Year's Revolution or Chatbox Rumble? Which one's first?
New Year's Revolution.
New Year's Revolution on January
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Oh shit! It's tomorrow.
Yeah, it's tomorrow.
Yep. Because there's always a live stream we have once a Saturday of a month. Once a Saturday.
Yeah, I knew that, but I didn't know it'd be that early. Okay, New Year's Revolution tomorrow on the YRC Live channel. Don't miss it.
All right, guys.
And what a way for this being. I was just going to quickly say, what a way for this being the first SmackDown of 2022. But talking about Tim Burton and such, and yep, just have everything to look forward to coming up for the YRC from Raws and SmackDowns for 2022.
Alrighty, let's hope I can handle it.